Hi. Welcome to, and I'm sorry. Welcome to the show. I am your host, Cassie. Thank you for joining us here on WJZZ Cool TV. Please watch us on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and other social media platforms. Again, thank you for watching. I know it's been a minute since I've been in the studio, but I had to get some things in order, get my house in order, as they say. I want to give a shout out to my co-host, Kim. She is still at home recovering. She is doing 100% better than she was, and hopefully she'll be back with us soon. Today we are joined with a representative from Beacon Hospice. I just want to thank you for joining us. Please introduce yourself to us, please.
So my name is Idt Randall. I am the Community Education Coordinator for Beacon Hospice. So I'm excited to be on the show. Thanks for having me.
Yes, absolutely. Anytime. Go ahead, hon.
Yeah, so you tell a little bit about Beacon Hospice. So Beacon Hospice is actually Harbor Hospice in Texas.
No, tell us about you, honey.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, introduce yourself to us. Yes, you was ready to go, wasn't you?
So I have a medical background, so I have a LPN, but so with that, I got into doing a lot of the nursing homes and working with seniors. Actually, wound up working with Oak Street and dealing a lot with the community.
Okay.
Being active in the community, doing events, getting to know a lot of our seniors. And in that, I had an opportunity to get a position in hospice. So at one point, I started working in hospice, and at first, I was a little nervous because nobody wants to hear about hospice. Nobody wants to deal with that end of life and have that hard conversation.
Yeah.
But the more I got into it, the more I realized that it's needed. Actually, it's
absolutely
needed in our community as well. It's kind of like how you're selling life insurance, and that's something no one wants to talk about.
Yeah.
But it's needed.
Absolutely.
And so by me going through that hospice situation with my stepdad and seeing the decisions that my mom had to go through, making that decision, taking him off life support, which his things was sudden. But sometimes people think hospice is completely the end, and that's not. But just dealing with hospice and seeing how much of a comfort and quality and dignity that you can give that person that took care of you in the last days, I started getting more involved and more passionate about it.
Okay. I like to say the subject matter, it is extremely, it's a difficult subject matter. However, death is a part of life.
Yes.
And I think that hospice will definitely prepare people for, that time that's going to come for everybody. I have a medical background as well, and I've been in hospice situations as well, and I think it's definitely a great resource for family and the patients that, just want to kind of rest easy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you've introduced yourself, and I just want you to kind of give us a definition of what hospice is. What exactly is hospice?
So it's two components to hospice. So
Okay.
you have palliative care, which is a comfort care and an extra set of hands on your chronic condition where you're still getting curative assistance, which means you're still going to the doctor, which means you're still taking your medications, and you're pretty active, but you have a chronic condition and you need an extra set of hands,
Gotcha.
which in the medical field. So when we get to hospice, that means that your treatment, you have that diagnosis, but it's past treatment, where your treatment is no longer beneficial to the quality of life, which means that you've come to the life where your body is saying that it's going to run its course. And so the definition of hospice is a comfort care towards the quality and end of life, which is decline in your health conditions.
Gotcha. So when you said a decline in the health condition, what kind of classifies, because I do know people that have actually been in hospice many times and they've gotten out of hospice.
So hospice isn't always a death sentence. It's when your body, when the medical professional, which will be your physician, says that the general medicine and what he knows is conventional medicine is not working.
Gotcha.
So your body is making the decision to say, I need to take a rest.
Okay.
So in that aspect, at that particular time, your body is saying, okay, I need to take a rest.
Mm-hmm.
But your body no one has the last say. So your body can make a decision and say, you know what, I'm going to fight.
I'm ready. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So when you say, people say you're on hospice, some people, there's a 6-month evaluation.
Uh-huh.
So you get on hospice initially, and then you have a 6-month evaluation.
Okay.
If there's any form of improvement, then we need to reevaluate and see what direction we need to go with your health care.
Gotcha.
Now, you can stay on hospice for at least 2 years.
Wow.
And then you can, after that 2 years, then you have to come off. But you can make a decision. Once we sign you up for hospice, it's not like it's written in stone.
Mm-hmm.
You can get off hospice.
Okay.
You can say, I don't want to do this. I feel like I'm better, and you can get off hospice anytime.
Okay.
So with the palliative care, that's a complimentary service that we offer, which is, like I said, extra hands. You'll get a nurse twice a month,
Mm-hmm.
and you'll get social worker and spiritual support if you want it.
Okay. Cool. Sounds good. So when you mentioned the extra set of hands social worker, tell us about the team that is involved with the hospice process.
So the team that will be involved, you will have a physician that will come, a hospice physician.
Uh-huh.
And then you will have a nurse, which will be once a week. You'll get a CNA, and you'll get the spiritual support.
And what's a CNA, hon?
Certified nursing assistant.
Okay.
So we have a lot of those on staff. They'll bathe you, make sure that everything is taken care of. And also you get like that, your doable medical, if you need anything like a bed or a mattress, anything that requires for your comfort.
Comfort, yes.
Yeah, you'll get that with our services.
Okay.
Now, medications, when it comes to that aspect, the medications is comfort medication. So as opposed to palliative care, you'll be taking all your medications.
Okay.
So with a hospice, you'll be taking medications that'll make you comfortable. If you have any pain, you'll be more a morphine side of it.
Okay.
High blood pressure medications, you really won't do that because you're slowly allowing your body to take its natural course.
Gotcha. So that was going to actually be my next question. I was just going to comment on what you just said. So with hospice, you only take comforting medicine,
Yes.
pain medicines.
Yes.
You won't take like your blood pressure, your kidney medicine. No, nothing else is involved to help sustain life, basically.
Only thing, correct. Only thing is necessary is your comfort.
Okay.
Which if you're in pain, we're not going to let you sit there in pain. And again, you can decide, say that if you go to the hospital,
Mm-hmm.
that means you're doing preventive measures. When you do that preventive measure, that means that you're going to have to come off hospice.
Okay.
You can restart it when you come out, but that means you want to say medical to intervene. But you want the medicine to intervene. You don't want life to take its course.
Okay.
So in that aspect, you're still in control. You're in control. Your family is in control. We're doing what we think is best for you.
Okay. So with that being said again, so no hospital. So if you're feeling the need to be in hospice, you can't go to the ER and say, hey.
Correct.
Gotcha. Okay. And you just explained how long a person can stay on hospice. You said up to 2 years.
Yeah, up to 2 years. Then there's a reevaluation.
Okay.
And you'll probably be off it for maybe a month or maybe 6 months, up to 6 months if you're doing fine. And then if your body starts to decline, or if your family sees a discrepancy in your health, then you can be back on hospice.
Gotcha. Okay. So I'll take a little break from my questions. Just give us some more information on Beacon Hospice.
So again, Beacon Hospice is we're located in Bingham Farms, Michigan. That's like on Telegraph. I thought it was Southfield. I'm sorry. So it's on Telegraph.
And we're all over too. So not just Detroit. We're all over.
Okay, so it's between Telegraph and it's on Telegraph between 13 and 12 mile. But we also opened up a location that's in Canton off of Ford Road. So
in Michigan.
Canton, Michigan. Bingham Farms, Michigan. so we'll be able to service that Downriver, Ann Arbor area,
Okay.
and things like that. But mostly we're here in Detroit metropolitan area. So of course, we do Downriver, Pontiac.
Yes.
We'll probably go as far as Saginaw.
Okay.
So within 60-mile radius of where we are.
Gotcha.
We're trying to be in a hospital as well. So again, like I was trying to explain, what I explained earlier, that we were based out of Texas.
Okay.
And we're in Texas, Las Vegas, and Kansas. So we came to Michigan. I think they've been here for 2 years.
Okay.
And so just developing a business here model that prove that we have that. What sets us apart is the quality of care.
Gotcha.
And the accessibility. So you can access us. I'm sorry.
You're good.
24 hours.
Okay.
And you'll talk to a nurse. You'll even get myself too. So it's like we don't want to leave you in limbo and not knowing what's going on with your care. So you can always be able to talk to someone about your care.
Okay. So let me take a quick station ID. You are watching In the Know Live, streaming on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, and other top social media platforms. Please like, follow, subscribe, and comment. Thank you again for watching WJZZ Cool TV, the coolest station in the world. Again, we are here with a representative from Beacon Hospice, and she is giving us some information on the the subject that people don't want to talk about that often, hospice. Hospice is a part of, death is a part of life, so, this is something that you might need one day, you or your loved one. Tell us a little bit about some of the medications that, are done for comfort. I've heard some different stories. I'm in the medical field, I've seen some different stuff. The medications that are given, they're given in pill form, they're given IV form. Who's administering this medication?
So it will be your nurse.
Okay.
Or the CENA, whatever the doctor requires. It depends on the person. So some people can still swallow pills, like I said. People on hospice aren't always bedridden.
Okay.
And then, or it'll be IV, or it can be liquid. So it depends on what you can tolerate. Some people have PEG tubes, some people have trachs. So whatever form or avenue that you can have it administered, and that would be your healthcare provider.
Gotcha.
Professional, I should say.
Okay. So what role exactly does the family play in all of this?
It depends. So the difference in that is, I seen a lady and she was cognizant. She was able to sign things for herself. So family can be support, or family can be the initial form of contact. They can have guardianship.
Okay.
So usually we recommend that you make this if they have a lot of, like, I want to say siblings, children, that person. You want the family to gather together and make the decision, or whoever has that guardianship over that person, over the loved one.
Okay. So back to the medication. So what kind of medications are used exactly?
I don't want to say all specific because everybody is different, but I do know the primary thing is pain and morphine.
Okay.
Now, you would have the doctor will decide what other medications are suitable for that specific situation. I don't know why I'm stuttering. Sorry, y'all.
That's all right.
I'm talking really fast. So every patient is different.
Okay.
So the doctor decides what medication is in there, but the primary medication is for comfort, and for sure it would be the morphine, so you won't feel any pain.
Okay.
Now,
gotcha.
any other thing, that will be up to the physician or a nurse practitioner to decide.
Okay, so let's speak about the morphine. Okay, me as a healthcare professional, I know morphine, if you have certain conditions, certain age group, it'll stop your heart. Okay?
It can.
Yeah, it'll stop your heart, especially when it's done in like volumes or larger doses. So I know they sometimes give you a little bit more just for the comfort, right?
Yeah, right.
So with that being said, would it be unfair for me to say or ask you, is this similar to like assisted suicide?
I wouldn't take it to that extreme, because the difference between assisted suicide, the person makes a decision that they no longer want to go through any pain or go through life as they know it, as an ending. Which hospice, it helps you take the natural course of your life. So your body shuts down when your body shuts down.
Okay.
But with assisted suicide, you make a decision to end your life. We're not making a decision to end your life. We are helping you through the process with dignity and the quality of life that you have.
Okay.
Until your body decides, I no longer can fight anymore.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, we're from Michigan. We are in the state where Dr. Jack Kevorkian did his thing back in the 90s or whatever. I remember his crusade. By me being in the healthcare field, I was like, I feel people have the right to go however they want to go. I do. I feel like people have the right to go however they want to go. But do you care to comment on the situation with Jack Kevorkian and how he assisted people with the suicide, terminally ill people, similar to the people that are in hospice? Do you have any comments about the methods that he used or processes or?
Me personally, and when I say personally, I'm not representing the company when I speak on this. I don't know what to say in that situation, because just like you said, everybody has to decide how they want to. In that situation, they're making the decision how they want to end their life. And so in that, you can't really comment on that. I don't know whether, I think he went to jail for it.
Yeah, he actually went to jail. He was found guilty. I think they found him guilty of some sort of murder or manslaughter or whatever. But his thing was, I think he started off with a good
intentions.
Yes, good intentions. But as the situation kept progressing and he kept doing it, it started getting kind of messy. So I agree that people do have the right to choose how they want to go or whatever. But I think, like you said, mentioned dignity. I think a lot of the ways that he started doing stuff in the end, dropping people off at the morgue or, leaving them in the van or whatever, I think that was, people wasn't being, dignity wasn't in the equation at that point.
And I don't think the family members were involved. I think everything was done in secret. So it's one of those things that, okay, my loved one is passed and we had no idea. So I think that was part of some of the things that people had discrepancies with. Which, I mean, in his mind, I think that it was a good idea because as a physician or a healthcare professional, you didn't want to see that person suffer. So he thought that he was doing them a favor, but what he was doing was taking away the other involvement of the family. And sometimes that's a hurtful feeling when you have no say in how your loved one is leaving here or taken care of. And some people take that seriously. I do. To just have your parent, you thinking everything's okay, and your parent, you don't want that parent to go. So you want as many moments or as much time you can have with that person. And that's the benefits of hospice. It's helping you with memories. It's helping you take care of that person like that person took care of you and raised you. And sometimes you find that people find that that's a burden, but it's so many other resources out there. There's respite care. There's so much that you can do instead of making yourself seem you're a caregiver. But there's actually resources out there because you don't think you're a caregiver because that's your parent.
Exactly.
Or your aunt or someone that you're taking care of, but you're not alone.
Tell us about respite. Some people don't know what respite care is.
Well, respite care, like in some nursing facilities, or I think we have it where a person can come and stay with your loved one. Say you want to take a vacation for it's up to 7 days. You can take 7 days in a month. So you can take a vacation, put them in a nursing home, and they'll stay there. Some places charge fee for service, and then some I think it may be covered out of your insurance. I'm not sure of that person's insurance, but it's where you can just get a peace of mind. Say you want to go on vacation for 7 days. Say you just want time to yourself. That's an option for you as well. Regardless if they're on hospice or not.
Okay, cool. Wow, that's good to know. That is great to know. Okay, so let's get back to the questions at hand. We're here again with a representative from Beacon Hospice, and she's kind of giving us some information on the process of hospice. She spoke about respite and also palliative care. So when a person, like I said, I've been in many situations as a healthcare provider. So when a person, I've seen so much, but when a person is dying, okay, their vital signs are slowing down, heart rate is slowing down, just as you was talking about. A lot of times I've seen the family being the administrator of the medications. They're actually doing a lot of the caregiving, like you just said. So you mentioned CNAs, you mentioned nurses. Is there a 24-hour rotation, or do they come in like every 3 hours, or how does this work?
So the thing is, you see a nurse once a week.
Okay.
By that, you're monitoring if the patient is at home. So if the patient is at home, you're being seen once a week. And you're asking if the monitor of the medication or how that.
Yes. How does the team come in, or is a lot of the burden put on the family?
No, the burden is put on the family. So because the family is involved, very involved. And then so in that aspect, we come in once a week again, communicate with the patient. The
nurse comes in once a week. Okay.
Yes, the SENA comes in once a week. Or twice a week, I'm sorry, twice a week. And so you're always having someone there to monitor the patient's progress, or if they're decreasing or if they're increasing in activity. Increasing in activity, that means they're showing more life.
Okay.
Decreasing means, okay, the end of life is coming. And then once that time comes when they're in the home, you'll see more frequency of the nurse, or the nurse will tell you what to watch for. But when you're in a nursing facility, there's a 100% 24-hour care, and you're hooked up more to monitors and things like that. Someone checks on you more often, so they'll know what signs to look for when you're declining.
Okay. So basically what I got from that was you have the option to be in a nursing facility where there's 24-hour staffing, or you can do your hospice at home.
Yeah.
So go ahead. I'm sorry.
Where you'll have a family member that's there 24 hours.
Okay. Gotcha. Okay. So, what type of... Let me do a quick station break. You are watching In the Know Live on WJZZ Cool TV. This is my first week back. I'm a little slow, y'all. We are streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, and other top social media platforms. Please like, follow, and subscribe. Thank you again for watching WJZZ Cool TV, the coolest station in the world. Again, I am here with...
D. Markel.
Yes, D. Markel. I almost said D. From Beacon Hospice. She's explaining to us the process of hospice, respite, and palliative care. A stage that, a process that we're all going to go through one day, death, and we may decide to go with a hospice agency. So this is great information to have. What type of support is given to the family?
So there is spiritual support that we have, and we have a social worker as well. So the social worker, that social worker say, if you need, whatever you need socially for that patient or for you, that's a resource. But as spiritual support is, even after the patient passes, for a year, you still have that opportunity to get counseling, grief counseling with our services that we have.
Okay. So when you say spiritual support, we have all these different denominations. Is there something out there for everybody? Or?
As far as I know, we only have like the Christian base, but it's an option. So if you want your rabbi, or if you want anyone to come in from your religion, then that's fine. But we do have that support and prayer or whatever you need from us. We do have that. So we realize that people are different denominations as well.
Yeah. Okay, so I'll just open up the floor for you. Is there anything that you want to, tell us about or go over as far as the company goes, or the processes of hospice? Why you think this is a good choice for families? Or
I just think I do want us to be more sound in what we do when it comes to hospice and palliative care, to not be afraid, because the end is coming for all of us. It's just how you want to deal with your family member. Some people say that they want more time, or some people just say, I want to go naturally, but you still can go naturally and have a little bit more comfort and have a little bit more dignity and have a little bit more support with you. People, like I've been through it. So you have that compassion.
Okay.
And you want to make sure that person who took care of you has the best care that they can have at the end of life.
Okay. Now, do you have some I know, when a person is sick or during death, you have like the 5 stages of grief, and and a lot of times people go through that when the person haven't even passed away. You still going through these different stages. Yeah. So, do you ever, or how often do you see like a parent, like you said, you don't want a person to, sometimes you don't want to let go of a person. So, do you ever see sometimes, hey, the parent wants to go on hospice and they're having difficulty with family, because the family doesn't want that, or they don't understand the full, the full scope of hospice. Have you ever seen that?
100%. I just got a phone with a couple people. So people don't want to hear hospice at all. And that's why it's a soft conversation when we talk about palliative care. Because you still get that extra set of hands, but say your diagnosis is, let's say, kidney failure. And say you don't want to do dialysis. At some point, regardless if you have palliative care, you're going to wind up going over to hospice. And so you already have that support, so you don't have to look for anyone. Because some people are in denial, and they don't understand. But if you're not getting dialysis, your body's going to do what your body's going to do no matter what happens. Some people just don't want to know. And so having that fight, I think taking the fight out is introducing that palliative care. Where that's a soft sell where we're still there for you as a support, but eventually it may turn where we have to accept what's coming. So I think for me, finding out that palliative care is more of a softer conversation than hospice, because there's still the hope, but still I'm giving you a straight understanding that this can decline, but we will be here for you either way.
Okay, so when it comes to cost for this type of service, how does it work? Like you said, the person can be on this for 2 years. So does it work like a regular medical type of treatment, or is there something special that goes into the hospice aspect when it comes to insurances?
So with the palliative care, there is no cost. That we're not charging you for that. But with hospice, it's covered under your Medicare. So anybody has Medicare, Medicaid is covered under your insurance. Everything that you need that's a benefit, because that's a necessity of life.
So if you mentioned Medicare and Medicaid, so you mean Medicare separate or just regular Medicaid?
If I'm not mistaken, most people will assume that the end of life is for the elderly. So when you have Medicare, it's covered. I do believe Medicaid, if you're not at that age, they're going to make sure that you have some type of funding for the hospice. It's covered by most insurances, no matter what.
Okay. And you mentioned like you brought up the kidney disease, dialysis. So when a person is going through the transition of dialysis and they stop dialysis, that gotta be kind of hard for the family to see and to go through. So is you just said every situation wasn't the same, but you mentioned a nurse comes in, you said once a week, CNA twice a week. So when you have a person's situation that's a little bit more, does that schedule change at all?
So once you go out, say I go out and do the assessment.
Nurse. So tell us about the process.
The process is just giving you a consultation about where we are, what your doctor is recommend, what your nurse practitioner is recommend. And so we go over what is offered in certain situations. Palliative care is a super simple process.
So say, for example, I currently go to Dr. Jones, so I won't be able to go to Dr. Jones anymore at this point?
When you're on hospice, you will not. You will no longer need to go to Dr. Jones, because if you want to go to Dr. Jones, that means you still want curative solutions.
Gotcha.
So, but palliative care, you can go to Dr. Jones. But once you transition to hospice, we'll have our hospice doctor and our hospice team, like just like you're in the hospital, will come and take over your care. So again, the kidney, when you make a decision, certain times we can make decisions, and of course family members kind of fight that. But if the patient has its own signer, which means they can make their own decisions, then it's nothing. We have to support what the patient
is
wants.
saying.
But to say the daughter or the son or something like that, we have to support what that person wants, not what every family member wants. And so when the person makes a decision to come off dialysis, not do dialysis, that means that honestly they want nature to take its course, whether I'm going to go or where I'm going to stay. So, and you can counsel off of that, and that's where a social worker will come in and see what mindset that person wants before you go. Once we start the services, you still start the services, but they'll evaluate and say, okay, is this what you want? Because you're able to make that decision. Do is this truly what you want? And the nurse will do that too. So it's not just, we're going to throw you on there and forget you. So you still have a right in your health care.
Okay. So with the social work situation, so is that just an initial thing that she does? It's not done throughout the process. I know you mentioned spiritual support
Option, yeah.
for the family. So is social work, is that a part of the package as well, or is that just done initially?
Well, social work, they come out once a month with palliative care, and they come out 3 times a month with hospice.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So once a person transitions over, once nature has taken its course.
Mm-hmm.
So how does that process work? The doctor comes in, you call the coroner. What happens at that
So
point?
most of the time, say if the patient passes at home, the family will call us. The nurse will go to pronounce, and then after that, things will be in play. The nursing home, they will already have a funeral home chosen. So therefore, after that, after we pronounce, then it's back into the family hands. They call the funeral home. The funeral home will come take the body, and that process is ended that way. But then we'll still do counseling, grief counseling, if they need it.
Okay, so no coroner. I know a lot of times if people die in the house, they definitely have to call the medical examiner, blah, blah, blah. So none of that stuff is needed if that person is in hospice.
Yeah, it's not needed. Yeah, it depends. No, it's not needed.
Okay.
Because you already have a plan of action.
Gotcha.
And even if they pass it home, say the police come, they'll find out. Because sometimes that's, like you said, the coroner or someone to come.
Yeah.
The police can come and assess the situation and find out that this is the paperwork, and then they'll leave it up to you to call the funeral home.
Gotcha. Okay. So, just tell us a little bit about basically what you do on a day-to-day basis. How do you, educate people on hospice, your demographics that you're dealing with. Just give us a little insight on your day-to-day in this hospice, situation.
So most people, you deal with a lot of social workers in the nursing homes, and they know about hospice. It's just what sets you apart.
Okay.
And then, again, like I said, palliative care can set you apart because that's a softer conversation.
So every hospice facility doesn't offer palliative care?
No, and some people charge for it, and we don't.
Okay.
So that kind of sets you apart where you can have a softer conversation, build that trust and that bond with that family or that person on that aspect, dealing with the social workers in nursing facilities, hospital, case managers, and things like that. So that's a day-to-day routine that we have to go through to out in the field.
Okay.
Yeah, and also we do community education too. So, COVID has kind of handcuffs a lot of things. So you can't do as much as you want. And I believe in the community education because I think in our community we do need to educate on the benefits of palliative care. Because you can have a patient say he has cancer, but he's up and walking around. He can still get palliative care.
For free? Yeah,
and then as he slowly declines, say with chemotherapy, he can go on to hospice. But if the chemo, because chemo weakens your body, so you can go on to hospice. But say you cancer go in remission, and that means you're gonna stop the chemotherapy. Stop the chemotherapy, but you still might need assistance or anything. Or you could say you've done all the chemotherapy you want to do, and then you want to just say, you know what, let nature take its course. We'll be there for you. So once you're doing chemotherapy, that's palliative care. Once you get tired of chemotherapy and you just want nature to take its course, then we switch you over to hospice.
Okay, and again, tell me what the support is with the palliative care.
You're getting an extra set of hands, so you're getting that nurse twice a month, and you're getting that social work. So sometimes you just need that to give the family a peace of mind.
Okay.
So that's what it is, and it's no cost to you or your insurance.
Okay, so the nurse comes in and just kind of
go over your medications, navigate with your doctor because you're still under your doctor's care.
Okay.
And take your vitals and things like that.
Okay. Okay, cool. Tell us about some of the physicians over at Beacon.
Well, we have Dr. Jaleel. He's pretty big. He's a primary doctor.
Okay.
We have Dr. Spearman. I think he's out of Southfield. Both of them are out of Southfield. So they've been in the business for a long time. But the owner of Beacon Hospice is a physician. Okay. And he used to work in was it Henry Ford, I believe, and now he moved to Texas and he started the Harbor Hospice, which is expanded to they have an in-hospice location.
Facility.
Yes, and that's what they want to create here, have an inpatient hospice facility here.
Okay.
So once we start expanding, and that's the goal.
Okay. So they basically work as, were they their primary doctors or?
Primary doctors,
Or
internal
okay.
medicine. Some of them work in a hospital or have hospital privileges. They see patients there, and most of them have their own offices, and they just partner with the hospice company.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And who else? Who else? What other type of people are on the team? You mentioned nurses, CNAs, and what was your role again?
Community education coordinators.
Okay.
We have two of those. We have one in two out of Beacon, out of Bingham Farms, and then we have another one that's in Canton area.
Okay.
Canton area. So again, our day-to-day process is to go meet with families, go talk to the social workers, pick their brain of who may need can use our assistance.
Okay.
In the aspects of any form of care.
Gotcha. Who else makes up the team?
And then we have a DON that's over the office. So
Okay.
what she do is she coordinates.
And the DON is
director of nursing.
Gotcha.
So the director of nursing that's in the hospice, in the office, she oversees with the patients the diagnosis and making sure she connects with the doctor and connects with the RN to make sure we're all on the same page as we're giving that quality of care. We have our IDT meetings, which means that we meet with certain doctors on every Friday of the week. We meet and we discuss all the patients, whether they're declining or if they're showing progress.
Yes.
So that's how we track our patients to see how they're doing.
Okay.
Because the nurse goes out and see a patient, you see a set of patients every day. So that's how we know what's going on with them and what direction the care is needed with the patient. And then and that we cover if we have complaints or if we have anything that is giving like congratulatories. So we want to know how we're doing and out in the field and how the people are receiving us, the families, if they are enjoying our services or if we can improve in our services.
Okay.
So that's how we have those meetings.
Now let me ask you this. Okay, so you mentioned early on in our conversation, nobody has the last. Nobody can say when a person's time is. Okay, so I've seen it in hospitals. People, the doctors may say, okay, I think this is it. No more treatment. Yada yada yada. So, at what point? Okay, so say my doctor say, I want you on hospice. You've been in the hospital for 28 days, and I think your next move it should be hospice. So is that something that a person has to do or has to accept, or can't you continue to? Where does it end as far as the insurance go? Can't you continue to get treatment as long as you want, or does the doctor say, you know what, we're not going to waste our resources on you anymore?
So, if you're asking if they will kick you out the hospital?
Basically, is that how the process works? Once you're in the hospital and they say, okay, you've exhausted everything we know to do, okay? We need to put you on hospice and let, nature take its course. So, if I don't want to go to hospice, what is my rights at that point? Do I have to go to this particular type of service? Does my insurance stop paying for continued care? Or
because you have a right to have a second opinion, or you wind up, they either say, if you have someone at home that can take care of it, or they'll put you can go into a rehabilitation center, which is facility, which is a nursing facility.
Okay.
Assisted living. No one can force you to do anything, or they can keep you on the life-saving measures. I mean, if they determine that you can't stay on there, I mean, then that's upon the family to decide what's the next steps. They can't just kick you out the hospital.
Okay.
They will recommend that you go to a rehab facility or nursing facility or something like that.
Okay. Not necessarily kick you out the hospital, but stop trying to...
The treatment?
Yeah, stop the treatment.
They're not going to stop.
And we've seen that a lot during COVID, too.
Yeah.
That's why I kind of, bring up that fact. Like, people are on... ventilators, life support, this, that, and other. And family nobody really had a say. So it was more up to the physicians. That's why I was basically asking that.
Well, COVID was different because, again, they didn't know what they were dealing with. It was one of those fear brought on. So that I can't really speak on because that was a different situation. Like now, when it comes to heart failure and things like that, that's a totally different situation. It's nothing they can do. And I can tell you from my experience with my stepdad, he went into the hospital. he was fine. You know, he wasn't fine. I had to make him go to the hospital. And he went in there. We got to get in a wheelchair to have him in there. And when he was there, I took him to the hospital around 2 o'clock.
Okay.
By 5 o'clock, he had a massive heart attack.
Oh, wow.
You know, so this happened in May, so we're still going through that COVID transition. Yeah. And they had to call my mom, and she, you know, hey, you know, this is what's going on. But at that time frame, because he was so critical, they had to put him on. He wasn't breathing on his own. They had to put him on life support. We were able to go in there and see him.
Okay.
Now, there was a debacle. I don't know what happened, and I'm not going to mention the hospital. He was on life support, and my mom was talking to us and saying he wouldn't want to be this way. Never talked to a physician or anything. They transferred him, took him off life support, and transferred to another wing in the hospital where there were no recourses of resuscitation. They put him on a DNR, so my mom called there, so we had to argue that and say no. We had to talk to our doctor and tell him we want him back on life support.
Did he didn't have COVID?
No, he did not have COVID. They made that decision saying that they heard us say someone told them that, and that was a complete lie. So we put him back on life support, but my mom was upset because she didn't want them to make that decision for her.
Exactly.
She wanted to make that decision. So we fought to have him back on there and placed where he needed to be placed. And then after much thought and talking to our primary doctor, he was saying that there's no increase. Everything, when he went into the hospital, we didn't know his heart was functioning at 25%. Okay. That is very, very rare. They don't even understand how he walked in there. So over the course of maybe a couple more days, my mother was like, okay, what do you want me to do? I said, you got to make a decision. What with your husband? How would he want to live into his life? Yes. So she went in there and she said, okay, we're going to put him on hospice. So we signed the paper. And they were very nice. But they did not, you know, sometimes you can get those problems where the hospital can make those decisions that for you, but you have the right to fight for what you believe your loved one would want or the dignity, because they have no right to take that decision from her. Exactly. They have no right to take that decision from anyone. So there's hospital advocates that you can contact as well.
I was going to ask you, is there a form? I know that there are a lot of forms out there, medical power of attorney. What gives or what protects a person? Is there something that protects a person at the hospital level? And, you know, once you go in there, there's something on file. They know that this is what you want. Like they took him off of life support. Yeah, so as long as you don't sign a DNR, which is do not resuscitate, you should be fine. Okay. If you don't sign a DNR, then they should exhaust all measures to keep that person alive. Okay. Until you, the family, say, this is what we're going to do. Now, they can keep that person on there as long as you want to be on there. Now, again, they may move them to a facility or move them to a certain part of the hospital. Okay. But that's just your right. And if you feel that your rights are being violated, then you need to contact that representative at the hospital, and they're supposed to advocate for you. Wow. It was a situation, I want to say about a year ago. It was a little, maybe he was about 14 or 15. Do you recall that? It was a young boy. They had him on life support. Mom definitely didn't want to take him off. Okay. And they took him off. I think they had to go to court or something like that. Okay. Because the mom didn't want him off. I think they got a court order to actually take him off. So my point with that was definitely if you can have some sort of medical power of attorney in place or something that the family knows, or, you know. You can, but say if you're married, they can't override your spouse. Exactly. You know, it may come a little sticky when it comes to the your children, because there can be a fight, but then you should have in place, and I think everybody needs a will or to say, or have it written down somewhere, who you want to take care of your medical needs if this should happen outside of your spouse. Yes. Because say if you got, like it's 7 of us. So by me being the oldest, you know, I was able to navigate certain situations, but I still had to discuss it with my siblings because that's only fair. And then you get into those situations where siblings aren't around and you got that one person taking care of that. Yeah. But if you, in most of those cases, that person would have got power of attorney or guardianship. Okay. And we just asked for the guardianship papers, and that's what the hospital is supposed to do as well. Okay. So you mentioned, like, if there's a family, there's siblings, youngest to the oldest. is there one sibling that has more authority than the next sibling, or?
In regular families they do. So the oldest is supposed to have, in charge of everything. But that's not always the case.
Okay.
So whoever that person that your parent chooses, that's who it is. Because sometimes it'll be the youngest one who wind up taking care of the parents, and you have to respect that. But that's not always the case, because nobody wants to see their loved one go.
Okay.
And unfortunately, you got to take that choice. You have to have that foresight to see, this is how my children are. Let me put this in place.
Okay, so an example. So you have 7 siblings, and the mom is not married, and mom is in a critical condition. You want to decide whether to take her off, put her on life support or hospice or whatever the situation is. Mm-hmm. What I'm asking, is there like a chain of command? The oldest goes first, or you guys got to fight it out in probate, or how does that work?
Every family is different. It depends. So in natural order, you would automatically go to the oldest. But if that oldest hasn't been seen his mother or her mother in 5 or 10 years, you're not going to respect that. You're going to go to the one who was there. So usually in families, it's always a designated person that's been there.
Mm-hmm. I'm talking about legally.
There's no legal. Everybody has. If there's nothing in writing, you got to go through all the siblings. So you'll wind up going to court.
Probate.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. You have to have the foresight when these are your children. Mm-hmm. You know who's going to do this and that.
Who's going to clown and who ain't going to clown.
Because especially if your loved one has a sibling, usually the aunties and uncles, they'll jump in as well, but then they can only do so much. And during that time, I don't feel like it's a big fight. I haven't seen it. I'm not saying it doesn't exist, but you will have strife. But it's usually well known, the person who's been there with the parent.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but in court, you all just have to fight. But usually that person who's been there with the parent already knows that they have to get that guardianship.
Okay.
Because it's a whole bunch of stuff that comes with it as well. Outside of the life it could be messy.
Yeah. My grandmother, she was in a bad situation. It was like my aunt and my uncle, they was fighting. Yeah. She was living with my uncle. My grandmother lived with my uncle. Then they end up going to probate. It was so messy. The judge said, they neither one of y'all right. And they
But see, that's the thing. When you're at the hospital and you have to start making decisions, the medical professional are already going to tell you need to gather guardianship, or you can't make any decisions for that patient. So they're going to let you know that your mom is declining. You need the proper paperwork in order to make these decisions.
And that's done through probate court, guardianship.
Yes. Okay. And it's not hard. You can go through a guardianship company. It's not that hard, but you know that they're going to tell you, because you can't sign for her unless you have the permission to do it. So you just can't just go in there, and unless it's something that happened suddenly.
Yeah.
Then you have to come together as a family. Okay. And if that doesn't happen, I think the doctor can override what.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you mentioned guardianship companies. So there are specific companies that handle guardianship specifically. Yeah,
and I think most of them, you can talk to them, but I think a lot of them do take guardianship over that patient. Say if they don't have a loved one, or they can't be decided, then, like I was at a facility, and a patient son didn't want to be bothered, or didn't want to talk to him, didn't want to have anything to do with his medical care. So the facility, the nursing facility, had to go to court and take guardianship.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it's cases where the guardianship can be taken by the healthcare provider.
Okay.
And which is, you would never think that, but that does happen. And so the guardianship companies can take guardianship as well. They have a representative, a lawyer, who would take custody over that person.
Okay. I got another question. Let me just do a quick another station ID. You are watching In the Know Live, streaming on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, and other top social media networks. I'm your host, Cassie. Please like, follow, subscribe. Thank you for watching WJZZ Cool TV, the coolest station in the world. We are here again with D. Markel, okay? I got a question for you. She's with Beacon Hospice. I got a question for you. Okay, so I know when like seniors are involved, it's just so many rules and laws and so much protection for seniors. So say for example, you or someone in your agency, they were taking care of a person in home for hospice, right? What about abuse? What about those types of things? Improper, living conditions. How would that situation be handled?
Good question. That is handled by our social worker. So
Okay.
I have a patient that told me that she was being abused by someone that lives with her. So that is for the social worker. So when the social worker goes out, she can decide if she needs to call Adult Protective Services.
Okay.
And it's been the nurse can do the same thing. By law, the social worker has to do that.
Okay.
The nurse and any one of us can let you know that, hey, this is not conditions, but you do want it to go up the chain of command. Say your first initial contact will be the social worker, because what does she have? All the resources. This is what she does.
Okay.
She'll go out and assess the situation and say, you know what, tell the doctor, tell the nurse, you know what, hey, this is not great living situation with this particular person.
Yeah.
And we need to find something to make the situation better.
Okay. So basically, just because a person is in hospice does not mean they can live in unsanitary, deplorable conditions.
Correct.
They still have to have some sort of stable situation, quality of care, and all that good stuff. Gotcha.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So we're winding down to our last few minutes here. Tell us where we can find you guys at. Again, tell us where we can find you at. Is there anything else you want to comment on, before you do that?
You can find us, you can look up our website at beaconhospice.com, or, you can always call 248-480-4440. And you actually can reach me for questions. It's 248-497-3630. I'll be happy to do any consults or any presentations for you, or any event, just for educational purposes as well.
Okay. Okay. Wonderful. So if you have a situation where you are maybe a church group or anything like that, and you just want to get a little bit more information on the different areas of hospice, and maybe present it to your congregation or whatever your group is, she's available to, speak to your group. And again, what's your number?
It's 248-497-3630. I'm proud of myself because I remembered it.
Okay. Okay, so just tell us again, a little bit about...
Again, we're Beacon Hospice, and we do palliative care. We are located in Bingham Farms, which is on Telegraph between 13 and 12 Mile. We also have a location in Canton that's on Ford Road. They do the same things. They service a different area in a broader area.
So you are basically an educator.
Yeah, so I educate the community, educate the families on what their need is and what direction their loved one needs towards that end of life, more quality of life, more dignity of life aspect. So, and to bring comfort and a bit compassion, because that's a hard decision. I've been through families. I went with a young lady. You just have to walk them through it and, check on them daily, because mentally you want to make sure that you're making the best decision for your loved one. And that can be hard.
Absolutely.
Because they're not speaking for themselves, but they know you're there.
Yeah.
And so that can weigh on you. So what we're doing is taking some of that relief from you.
Okay.
So taking some of that and making it easy for you.
Okay.
It's not going to be easy, but it gets better. But if you have a support system, sometimes the family abandons you in that situation, and you get but we're there.
Okay.
For you. And that all we're doing is supporting you in your time of need.
Gotcha. Absolutely. And one last thing I am going to suggest is definitely, you mentioned will. A living will is also a very important part of your medical history and your life. A living will is absolutely necessary for any situation. A living will definitely tell your family, your providers, your care team exactly what you want. So before you ever get to the point of hospice, you have the right to make those decisions for yourself and to speak for yourself through a living will. You can get it notarized to make it more official. You can leave it with a trust and family member, but definitely invest in a living will. Put your wishes on paper so your family don't have to go through the through the discomfort of making that decision for you. Again, I want to thank everybody for joining us today.
Can I add this?
We got a second, babe.
I just want to let you know that I really want you to utilize the spiritual support because you need that more than you know you do.
Okay, wonderful. Again, I want to thank you all for joining us. I am Cassie again. We were here with D. Markell from Beacon Health. You are watching In the Know Live on WJZZ Cool TV, the coolest station in the world. Check us out next week where we will have another exciting guest. Thanks again, audience. Have a good day.